So today's topic is actually from a series of questions. And those questions were pretty much relevant of what we do in church. Okay? So this is going to be like the beginning of, I'm sure, a bunch of more questions. So the first question was, I actually just did it, I'm going to start with the second question. And that's, in our church, we have this emblem here in the middle. And if you look at it, it has a double-headed eagle, and it's got crosses in and within the emblem. And historically speaking, people have come up to me also, and this is where the question came from, was there's crosses on the ground. And then, like during communion, people are walking, and they might possibly step on those crosses. So, what do we do? And because we're not really supposed to step on crosses. So, like I said in the bulletin, if you haven't read it or if you have it with you, ideally speaking, there wouldn't be crosses on the ground. But out of design and those things, we have them. So we have to live within the product of our environment, right? So the most ideal would be to not step on the crosses. Now, afterwards you can come up and look. They're not everywhere. It's not like a mine sweep where there's mines all over the place. There's ways where you can go through the emblem, just not step on the crosses. So if you can do that and be aware of what your surroundings are, please. But preferably, just go around it. It's not that large. All you have to do is this, and just walk around the circle. See? Look. Boom, boom, and then boom. 3 steps. It was like a little maze. It was nice. So that's ideally, but that's the thing. I mean, it's more so, it's not saying that it's incorrect to have the emblem here. It's just we have to recognize what our surroundings are. So if you see something on the ground, or there's a piece of andillo on the ground, someone might have dropped one or something, pick it up, put it in the bushes if it's a little older, let's say. Sometimes I'll always see, I hope the person isn't in here, and if you are, listen. There's always like 3 pieces of bread that sit on the little ledge right there. Every Sunday, no matter what. I don't know what it is. They're leaving it for the birds or whatever it might be, but it's always there. I can always count on those 3 pieces of andillo to be there. I don't know where it comes from. It's not coming from me or Father Athanasio. So it literally just sits there. If you see those 3 pieces, like today, I went outside and boom, the 3 pieces were there. It's like a miracle every single time. I don't know what it is. Or someone just every single time, I remember and they forget and I'm there to be there for them. Just take them and put them in the bushes, okay? In that same answer, we don't do things that we hold with reverence and we put them in inappropriate places, okay? But out of the sheer design and beauty of our cathedral, we accept all of the gifts we're given from our generations, and we have to live with what we have. So just avoid the emblem and the crosses is my best bet, all right? And if you have to step on the emblem for whatever purpose it might be, just be aware of your surroundings, all right? So that answers that question. The next question is, Father, when you sense or when you bless, I see people do different things. And those different things are, I do my cross, like say I'm sensing the congregation, and it's like the wave, right? So I'll start here, and then people will either bow or they'll do their cross. Either way, someone's making some motion, and it's like this, boom, 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 section by section by section. Which is partially right and partially wrong. Why? When we do our cross, so we do our stavro, right? To the forehead, to the belly, to the shoulders, right? Not the banjo, not the other stuff that you will see, right? We see it all, right? We don't have to, let's not kid ourselves. With reverence and respect, we do our cross. Why? Not just to do our cross, we're truthfully blessing ourselves to be able to finish our prayer or begin our prayer, whatever it might be. And it's to give us in that frame of mind for whatever is to come, okay? When we bless, we are giving you the blessing, right? Or when we sense, we are giving you the blessing. So I don't mean this in an antagonistic way, but is your blessing better than mine? Now listen, I might be young and you might have a little bit more wisdom. Maybe. all right? But at the same time, within liturgy, we represent Christ. And so, is Christ's blessings greater than any of ours? No. That for sure. Maybe Father Samson's, but Christ's? No. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So, when we're coming forth and we're blessing, Irini Pasi, peace be unto you all, or with a censer, and we're going, we shouldn't cross ourselves. It's not, because the intent is always, remember, it's always about what the intent is. From before, the intent was out of reverence and respect, we do our cross. So we're not saying we're horrible human beings, we do our crosses, our blessings are better than the priests. It's, we were taught to do it this way, through generations and generations and so on. The appropriate thing to do is to actually not do our cross, but to just bow and receive the blessing that is bestowed upon us. And that would be the most appropriate thing to do. And again, it's because when we cross ourselves, we bless ourselves. So those are, the reason why these are a little bit shorter are because, not to say that they're simple, but there's plenty of things that we do in church that we might question. So the beautiful thing about this now is that we have more time for any on-the-floor questions of what we might do in church that kind of either confuse us or we would like to know some more about. So I'm going to open it up to the floor for whatever time we have remaining of what we do and what we don't do in church and why it's confusing. Yes? Absolutely. So the question was, when the priest says, let us lift up our hearts, and you'll see, I mean, sometimes it could be super dramatic, and sometimes it's just like this, and sometimes the priest will just have his hands here or here. Sometimes people will put their hands up. It's proper for you to do that as well. It's not, I mean, don't go like this. We're not in like, but, you know, let's lift up our hearts. Let's lift them up. Let's give them up to the Lord. That's totally fine and appropriate. But again, within reason. We're not like Baptist jamming out. We're with reverence and respect, right? Those are our two words. With reverence and respect. That's what we do. So that's a great question. Yes?
Along with what you're saying, when Father Vasilius was here, he told us that the time that we normally kneel, that we're not supposed to kneel.
That's a great question. So over the summertime, I don't know if people were here or not, we actually answered this question, but I'm going to answer it in short, okay? The question is when we're in church, do we kneel or not kneel? And that's a great question. So canonically speaking, meaning from the canons of the church, we are told not to kneel on Sundays because Sunday is a resurrectional day. When we kneel, let's say our behavior is more in a somber moment. When we think of the resurrection and we think of Pascha, we think of joy, happiness, right? So for us, it's to stand with reverence and respect. And when you kneel, we usually kneel during liturgies during the week, and so you'll see really Father Athanasius and I, we won't kneel on Sunday, but if you come to a liturgy during the week, at that point where we kneel, you'll see us kneel. Now, that's canonically speaking, meaning from the church's teachings, okay? Around the 1950s, Archbishop Michael wrote an encyclical saying that because people can't come and show their reverence and respect by kneeling during the week, he allows them and actually insists for them to come and to be able to kneel during the week so that they don't miss out on that opportunity to kneel before the body and blood of Christ. So that's why you'll see people kneel in America. So our tradition in America is to kneel on Sundays. But the teachings of the church, the canons of the church, say to not kneel. So that's why you'll see some people stand, you'll see some people kneel, and it's okay. Do what's best for you in a sense of if you can't make it during the week, and this is the only liturgy that you can make it for whatever reason, please you have the opportunity from the encyclical from Archbishop Michael to kneel. But if you are available to come during the week, or if it's your feast day or someone over there, your saint day where you celebrate, and you're going to make it a point to come to church, or let's say when we do the 40 liturgies for Christmas for the Nativity fast, we'll have liturgy every day, and it's a lot quicker. So even though you might need to be at work at 9 o'clock, there's still time for you to actually come in the morning at 8 o'clock to liturgy and then go to work afterwards. If you come during those, we kneel. So again, if you have the opportunity to come during the week, please come and kneel, and then on Sunday, with reverence and respect, you'll stand. Yes? It's okay that you're the only one asking questions. You're making everyone else's job easier.
When the holy gifts are coming out and going around,
Yes.
and as we turn our backs, is it out of reverence to turn our back to the altar?
It's such a pickle trying to figure out which direction you're going to face, right? So while it is a holy altar, those are the gifts that are about to be consecrated. So the best thing is to just, I haven't been in a pew in a while, all right? So forgive me for trying to explain this. So now I'm facing how you guys would face, right? So now we're facing forward, the priest comes out, and we come around, okay? When it comes to the back, you don't have to it's not like a video game. You don't have to follow it around the whole way, all right? But there's a point where we have it always in our field of vision of you start from the front, and let's say the priest is coming down the side. Again, you're facing slightly front and to the right or front and to the left, and then as it goes around, don't follow it all the way around, meaning don't do one of these. Do more of it's coming to the right, here we are, and then, it's coming to the back. I need to prepare it for this side, so that your back isn't, leaning toward, facing the altar. Yes?
But when we exit down the aisle, our back is toward the altar.
That's just because you received the body and blood of Christ. It's not, remember, what's the intent? Always remember what the intent is. The intent is out of reverence and respect, right? So you're acknowledging the gifts that are to be presented, to be consecrated. And yeah, your back might be to the church, but it's not because you're in a complete disagreement with the altar and you're not going to acknowledge its presence and focal point. You're following the focal point around the church. So it's not remember, it's out of reverence and respect. You're showing the flow of liturgy also by doing so. And when you come up for communion and then you go to your seats, or even on the tail end where we turn and so on, you're not running away from the altar or in a disagreement with it and you're just going to not acknowledge its presence and turn your back to it. It's making sure, remember what our intent is, the reverence and respect. So as long as you're not angry at the altar, which is, I don't know how you could one do that, but you know what I'm saying? It's about the intent of what we do. Yes?
Again, I don't mean just when we receive communion. We have gone down the middle of the aisle for other reasons.
For what?
Go and get another candle or something. So we should never turn our back.
What I'm saying is what's the intent? What is your intent by going down the middle aisle and turning your back to it?
I've done it because I need to change, or I wanted to
Okay.
get
Okay.
week's program or something.
Okay.
And then I walk down the middle aisle.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you a horrible human being.
But I didn't know I was
That just makes you someone who wants to be involved within the service. Remember, it's about what the intent is. So what are we doing that is, the idea is this, is that it's not distracting you from what's happening, okay? So as long as you're not, like I said, going to go do something that's going to help you and distract you, then okay, but the intent of what you're doing. So whether it's you have to go do whatever it is and you go down the aisle, it might just be logistically simpler for you to go down the aisle as opposed to scooting a whole pew's worth of people out the way and then go or whatever it is, or squeeze through. So there's also that logistical aspect of it all. But unless you're not on purpose, dissing, or you're not like the intent. Yeah, the intent is not. Remember, it's all about what the intent is always. So it's not like you're turning your back to the altar because you mean it, meaning like you don't. Out of reverence and respect. Remember those two words: reverence and respect. Yes.
The other thing is, I've always been taught when I'm in the nave, in the church itself, when I want to go from one side to the other, I always turn and do my stavro.
Because it's proper, because you're in the middle here.
I see people, walking back and forth.
Here's a prime example, everybody. My back is literally currently towards the altar. All right? But why is that? Because of my intent. My intent is to teach the congregation. When I give my sermon even, I'm on the pulpit. Yeah, my back is towards the altar, but it's not on a negative purpose. It's on what the intent of my actions are, right? So I would literally be giving this whole session like this if it was simply just for my back to not be to the altar. But remember, it's what our intent is. And listen, I know the front of my face looks good. I haven't seen the back of my head. So I don't know what you'd be like to stare at the whole time, but that's the point. It's out of whatever our intent is. So whether it's we do our cross, or you'll see some people bow, whatever it is, it's out of reverence and respect. Yes? The appropriate way to get the andidoron. Again, you're receiving a gift, right? So andidoron is after the gifts or instead of the gifts, right? So if we haven't prepared ourselves to receive communion, we are all welcome to come and receive the gifts after the gifts. So when we come, we should have our hands out. I mean, people have preferences, right over left, left over right, whatever it is. Receive the andidoron. Don't necessarily shake the priest's hand, but some people do. It's okay. The proper thing is, you're receiving a gift from the priest, you should kiss their hand out of respect for the office of what they hold, as they are the representation of Christ at that time. It's not out of me having a superiority complex. It's out of the office that the priest holds. Because us as human beings, all right, I take off my anderi, I take off my rasa, and I'm in plain clothes, right? I don't just wear these around everywhere. Okay, so like you see me at the grocery store, I'm wearing regular clothes, right? People will kiss my hand out of reverence and respect for the office that I hold. So that's why when we come up forward to answer your question, we put our hands together, receive the pieces of bread, and we kiss the priest's hand, and then we go. Ideally, we wouldn't have like a full conversation either, but if there's something that's pressing, please talk to us. But there's also 400 people that we need to give andidoron to.